Sublime magnificence. Hey guys, you know who it is, what's going on, when it's happening, where it's at, and why we're here today. How you doing? It is I, the sublimely magnificent Big Ugly himself, Omari Ellis Feo Grande on YouTube, here with another episode of This Guy Hasn't Seen It. As usual, I am joined by my running mate, my co-host, one of my best friends in the world, El Director himself, Bill Smith.
Thank you for having me, as always, Omari. It is wonderful to be here. It is one of my favorite times of the movie year, and so I am eager to jump in and talk this week.
That is right, and this week, like I said, this is the show This Guy Hasn't Seen, where we trade things back and forth that one guy has seen and the other hasn't. And this week we are doing 2022's big film, because it's award season. We are doing 2022's film Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yes, an aging Chinese immigrant is swept up in an insane adventure in which she alone can save the world by exploring other universes, connecting with the lives she could have led. It is directed by the Daniels, Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinhardt. It is written by the Daniels, and it stars Michelle Yeoh, Stephanie Hsu, and Jamie Lee Curtis, as well as Ke Huy Quan.
Yes, that is right. So,
I presented this movie this week. I saw this as soon as it was available to me. Wanted to see it in the theaters, just didn't make it to it, unfortunately, and bought it digitally the moment it came out. Been holding on to this little nugget for a while. I was just kind of stuck in these moments of themes or responses to movies that you had selected, and it never really felt right. And then sometime in the fall, I realized it would be perfect for this time of year, so I just shoved it in my back pocket and have been waiting patiently for this moment. And I selected this movie. I'm not going to hide my opinions on this movie immediately from the jump. This is an incredible movie for me. This hits all of the boxes that I've come to discover that I love in a film, and I am eager to talk about it with you, sir. So I know there was a lot of this is a movie that has a lot of hype around it.
Yes. Which is
sometimes that's hard to go into.
Yes. Part of the reason why I hadn't seen it was the overhype. And mainly the overhype, as I've stated on previous episodes. I like things that are overhyped. Overhype itself won't turn something off for me as long as I see it early in its overhyping cycle, or if I also was hyped if I was part of said overhype before it came out.
Yeah.
Like, if it's something I'm anticipating, then of course I don't care about overhype. But if it's something I hadn't even really known about, which I hadn't really, Everything Everywhere All at Once, till it was out and everyone's just like, it's this, like, okay, I need to get around to seeing that. Then it got to a point where, oh, you haven't? What the fuck? What the hell?
Right.
Like, okay, calm down. And then after a while, as we kept doing this, I know you had mentioned, I'm pretty sure you had mentioned at one point thinking about doing that for this, like when we first seemed like we were going to be doing this a lot more regularly. You're like, oh, you haven't seen that? Haha, let's play it up here. So that was another reason why I'm like, well, whenever Bill inevitably recommends
50
this,
80s films later,
whenever Bill inevitably recommends this, I will still be there for. I had not seen it until then, because we try to take notes of that, like when we hear stuff about like each other, like, oh, okay, well,
yeah, it's interesting because like when something gets this kind of hype, you it's it's a pretty safe bet that it's going to be some level of good.
Yeah.
It's just because I've been there where you've been in this position where it's like you know that it's probably going to be good, but like I don't know, it's just been like this has been a lot. Yeah, this has been a lot, and like
Yeah, I don't know if it's all
and,
that.
and like it gets to the point where people come up to you and they're like, "You like kung fu, right? Are you like you like fighting or action movies? Then
Yeah.
you're gonna like this
Well,
movie.
I was telling
You
you
like
Hamilton.
anime, Omari. This is basically like anime, or
Yeah.
kind of stupid
Yeah,
people say
exactly.
that shit.
I just started like Hamilton at the beginning of all of this.
Yeah.
Our first video, I think, was Hamilton, or
Uh-huh.
one of them, and that was literally like, how hadn't you seen Hamilton? It was overhyped. It was God's gift to musicals, and I just hadn't gotten around to watching it because, okay, it can't be that good.
Right.
But yeah. As to what I was expecting with this, as we've also mentioned, I don't read a lot of the synopses before starting. So with this being award, big on award series, best picture, I'm expecting something super serious. Obviously, to have multiverse stuff. I knew that much about it, is that it dealt with the multiverse because everyone was talking about how much worse it made Doctor Strange's movie Multiverse of Madness. They were like, it was portrayed so much better in this other movie. So I knew about multiversal stuff being involved, but I expected it to be more serious on some I Am Hippolyta type shit.
Uh-huh.
So that's what I was expecting going in. So
Right on.
And
Right on.
I Am Hippolyta from Lovecraft Country for those of you like what? But yeah, another thing that's been on this show. And just all
Correct.
the old references. So yeah, getting into it, I'll go ahead with the initial reactions. The opening was, slow and it needed to be, but it was kind of weird. You had what seemed like a low-income family, just due to the messy house and receipts, and then looking like they were budgeting certain things. And then I also misunderstood old dude holding the divorce papers. I thought she hit him with the divorce notice. Because he seemed like he was trying to be helpful, and then next thing I know, he's got divorce papers. And I thought she had put the divorce papers in his hand. She's like, "I'm gonna go downstairs real quick. Here, take this. I'll go downstairs real quick and come back up." And then he's just like,
The fuck?
"We should talk. Can we talk, please?" Just like, damn. So I misunderstood. Like I said, I misinterpreted that, but it was definitely a chaotic, home and work environment. Then you had the kid also having their issues and stuff because the parents didn't want to accept the fact that she had a girlfriend, and they didn't really know how, or rather, they accepted the fact, but they weren't telling the grandfather Gong Gong about it.
Right.
And she was trying to get them to tell the grandfather about it, and they were very hesitant to do so because elderly man, rare tradition.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, accepted is a loose term, too, from mom.
Well,
I mean, acknowledges it, but
yeah, they could have been far worse about it.
For sure, but it's
whether or not they liked it, they had come to terms with the fact that this is what it is. That kind
right,
of, damn, it sounds even worse if I say it that way, but it's more like the stages of grief accepted. It's this happened. This is my life now. Not saying that that's how people need to be. Obviously, you need to be accepting and encouraging, but it was more of that kind of acceptance for them, where they're like, well, like it or not, our daughter's a lesbian, but I'm not telling dad about it just yet. I know we have to, but they had the failing laundromat and all that other stuff going on top of it. So anyway,
right, yeah, I just don't. I mean, I think it's part of
part of her growth is fully accepting it.
Right.
But
Yeah. I
she
think
had
that's
accepted
all
it
I'm
as
just
a
saying
part
is
of her-
like
that's what
it's
I'm
not
saying.
just is that just them hiding it from grandpa. And yes, it is like it's her pretending like she's misgendering her because of language barriers. Like that's not her misgendering her girlfriend because she's honestly
Yeah.
confusing the language. That's her being a dick to her daughter and intentionally misgendering her girlfriend
Fair.
and then excusing it. So like she has a lot of growth to do too, which is
Well, yeah, but
important.
that's why I'm like they didn't.
It's important.
fully
It's very
accept.
important to the plot. That is kind of our main character Evelyn.
Yeah.
Is that it is like there's a multiverse version of Evelyn that is on the extreme of her hating of her daughter being gay. But our Evelyn that is our main character when we introduce her is the most mundaneness of the like she's almost ambivalent
Yeah.
to she almost ignores the fact that her daughter is gay
There we
kind
go.
of thing. Yeah, it's
I got you. Yeah. So anyway, so they got a whole chaotic environment, and got the issues with the kid, and she also does the stereotypical strict parent thing of never really being able to say emotional things. They just say like harsh shit instead. Like she clearly saw that Joy, the daughter, was upset and leaving, and she started like, Joy. And Joy looks, wanting to hear anything with that look, like, tell me anything positive, please, Mom. And she's like, you eating too much, you're getting fat. And she had to get in the car and drive away. It's like, all right. And then some mundanity, and then all of a sudden, dude doing his, like, I saw him doing his flips and shit on the camera, but I just thought that's just how dude is. Like, she's trying to, because I still thought she gave him the divorce papers, and I'm like, maybe she just doesn't know he can flip around and shit.
right.
And then later, when he's in the elevator, and he's like, we could save the multiverse. I'm like, wait, we gotta save the whole multiverse? That's what kind of movie this is? And just kind of off the rails, like, from there, like...
Right. So let's break it down a little bit on just like actors. And then I'd love us to jump into standout moments, because at this point, if we just go beat by beat,
Yeah.
with this film, we're going to be here,
for a minute,
forever. So the main character, the she that we keep referring to, is played by Michelle Yeoh, very famous Asian actor in our industry, been in a ton of shit our entire lives, but this is her real first leading role to also express a lot of acting chops in an American produced film. The he that you just referred to doing all the flips and shit is Ke Huy Quan, playing Waymond Wang, and he is recognizable and a really cool story. Is you might. Most people would recognize him from either Indiana Jones Temple of Doom as Short Round, or the Gadget Kid in The Goonies.
Oh, so he's been around for a minute.
So he did those two films and a couple other things, and then retired.
Oh,
called it as far as acting goes, and then the Daniels basically dragged him kicking and screaming back into the industry.
That's cool.
So that's really awesome. And then our other third lead is their daughter, Joy Wang, played by Stephanie Sue, who's really awesome. Just kind of emerging. I have seen her in a show called The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, really cool show on Amazon Prime that she is good in, but that's the only thing I had ever seen her in. But she's really cool in this movie.
Yeah.
On top of Jamie Lee Curtis and a bunch of other smaller cameo roles. So if you want, well, you want to just start jumping into some standout moments.
Well, yeah, sure. When she just randomly like punched the auditor, like when the movie first started, actually just going off, like
Right, and
okay, so this is the direction
just
this movie's
kind of
taken.
accepting it.
Yeah, and
Still not sure.
punches the auditor, then all of a sudden, Wayman starts whooping ass. And then later Evelyn, once she figures out like how the jumping, at least the basics of the jump. Oh, when she first gets the kung fu thing, like anything can be kung fu. Even this so and so is kung fu. And then later, even this pinky is kung fu.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you just nailed a bunch of stuff in there. The fanny pack fight scene is awesome.
That was the Waylon whooping us. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that is awesome. I like 13-year-old me would have been able to tell you the actual weapon that, those moves, that fight scene is being, that fanny pack is being a stand-in for, but I can't recall it now. But yeah, that fight scene is amazing. And then yes, when Evelyn first makes her connection to the alternate version of her, that so this is a major this is a major divergent where she never left China with Waymond, and became a kung fu master, and then also just essentially became Michelle Yeoh. Became a movie star, and like at one point in the Kung Fu Evelyn montage we get when we're getting introduced to Kung Fu Evelyn, they even use actual red carpet footage of Michelle Yeoh. At one point you can see a Crazy Rich Asians billboard behind her. But yeah, that the playing on the trope of the kung fu master in that montage is hilarious.
Even this pinky is kung fu, and
even this cookie is kung fu.
First it was the cookie, and then later it was the pinky, and the pinky kept getting like callbacks throughout the thing, like.
We'll keep it going, and with the pinky thing. Do you notice a very key what Daniel Kwan calls his favorite Easter egg in the movie occurs when our Evelyn does her first pinky uppercut? You know, there's a bunch of weird random. They play with sound design a lot, and there's a lot of random sound effects in this movie. But it didn't go Shoryuken or nothing, did it? No, it was the baseball bat home run
from
strike
Smash Brothers.
From Smash Brothers. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's actually pretty cool.
There are so many things. That I could say about this movie and call it a standout. The dog
flail was crazy too.
The dog flail.
The lady with the dog, and she had it on the fucking thing.
That is a cameo that I wanted to try and find a moment to highlight at some point. That is a comedic actress that I love and follow named Jenny Slate. Okay. Who the Daniels apparently just love, and they just wanted to get her in for a day. And she gets a very similar fighting style to Waymond in the fanny pack fight, or kind of like spiky ball chain girl from Kill Bill.
Yeah, that's what it's more. I'm thinking flail, but it's more like that, the spike ball chain thing.
But yeah, with her Pomeranian,
as the
spiky ball.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Like I said, there's so many things. There's a million different things I could reference. Oh God. So first I would say Joy's or actually technically Jobu's costumes.
Yes, I do want to say when they said Jobu Tabaki or whatever the first time, I paused it and I wanted to make sure I put him in a like, oh, so the villain's gonna be her daughter. I'm like, I don't know Chinese, but is Jobu Tabaki gonna equal joy? Because Jobu and joy sound like and that was all I was going off of, is that Jobu sounds like joy, and for some reason they're doing it like this. And I was right, but Jobu has nothing to do with joy.
No, yeah,
it can't be that Chinese because she keeps messing it up.
the Daniels say it's literally just a random assembling of syllables.
Okay.
And if it is any language, it's purely accidental. That from their point of view, the character Joy turns her name to that when at the point when nothing matters, and it's literally just a jumbling of mouth sounds.
Yeah, when the full nihilism kicks in, just Jobu Tabaki.
Yeah, I wanted to highlight her costumes, because pretty much every scene she has, sometimes multiple costume changes a scene, and they're all ridiculous, they're all incredible.
And her debut was so fucking like, oh, this is gonna be a wacky new movie. She's just like, look what I can do, just boop boop boop. Just spin him around and he's in a different outfit getting shot, and then just boop boop. Like,
yeah, like, so our main villain basically has reality warping powers kind of thing. I mean, she is at all times connected to every version of herself.
She is the title.
Yes, she is everything, everywhere, all at once.
That's correct. How she experiences life, and she hates it.
We can't do this podcast without talking about the universe where people have hot dogs for fingers.
Of course.
In this universe, Evelyn is in love with Jamie Lee Curtis's character from the IRS,
who she seems to hate in every other universe, at least for 90% of the movie.
There's got to be a universe where they're together.
Yeah,
everything's possible.
Hot dogs for fingers.
And they have hot dogs for fingers, and we're shown at some point it's because back at the beginning of time, when like monkeys were evolving into people, there was a monkey with hot dogs on for fingers. And in this universe, the hot dog finger monkey wins.
So weird. Like that in and of itself was just a weird enough universe to be like, yes, anything's possible, but we're gonna try to keep the other ones relatively more grounded. But if you want the crazy thing, we'll just keep cutting back to hot dog finger universe. Because they do constantly go back to hot dog finger universe. Like,
oh yeah, they come back to it a lot.
Yeah. But yeah, and Jobu Tabaki is Joy's main idea, because she had her mind destroyed. She does not like her existence, and she also took everything and put it on a bagel. We're gonna go, but she put everything on a bagel because reasons, and also the bagel is like a black hole of death that could possibly kill her. We think we're led at first to think she's trying to kill the universe. She's just trying to kill herself. But she's trying to find her mom the whole time to get her mom to be at the same level, so that they can, at the very least, either A, mom will find a solution to this, or B, we die together. Like, that's pretty much what her goal is for the movie.
Yeah, most of the movie we are running from her, thinking that she's just, from what we're told, she is running around the multiverse killing all the Evelyn, murdering all the Evelyns. And she is. But that's because to her, like, she's like a Rick. If you're a Rick and Morty fan, it doesn't matter because there are literally an infinite amount of Evelyns. So this one dying doesn't matter, kind of thing. So she is going and she is showing, she is forcing these other Evelyns to experience the everything everywhere all at once.
Yeah.
And most of them can't take it. She's trying to find that prime Evelyn. She's not trying to murder the Evelyns. Yeah. But yeah, probably 60-70% of this movie, we're thinking that she is just the bad guy.
Yeah.
And we know about this machine, this black hole thing that she has that is probably like a universe killer kind of thing.
Yeah.
And even that, I don't think at any point we're really told that there's any fear for the universe, actually. That's just all cooked up by the Alpha universe.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we think that she's shot and destroyed, but according to her, she's like, no, this is she actually outright says, I'm not trying to destroy the multiverse or the universe.
This is just to kill me.
Yeah, this is to kill me. And now we can go together because you didn't find nothing. So let's go. Let's die now.
You want to die, right?
Yeah, because he's like, I was hoping you would find something else, but you didn't. So let's die.
And then I'll jump into another, like, watch one for me was for Evelyn. Was for Michelle Yeoh. Watch number 2 was for Ki-Hye Kwan and Waymond. And
he did a great performance.
He did a great performance.
Is he nominated for anything?
Yeah, if we want to run into it real quick, I was going to mention it at the end.
Oh, you can. I just thought about that. I just knew that the others had been.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'll throw it into our wrap up.
Okay.
But it's at this point that Evelyn realizes what Waymond means, and it feels ridiculous continually saying Waymond. That is his character's name.
Yes.
I am looking at the IMDb right now.
I saw it on the captions.
Waymond.
Yeah, I saw it in the captions when they first said Waymond. I was like, okay, it's Waymond. That is his name. All right.
It's in this moment that when she's confronted with, do you want to die right now? Because now you're like me and you know that none of this matters. She connects with Waymond, and it's from that moment forward that she decides to fight like Waymond.
Yeah.
And this is after he's had multiple speeches. In this montage, we see the Kung Fu Evelyn, who's as we discussed, a movie star. At this point, she has ran out of a movie theater where a new film of hers was premiering, where CEO, handsome, sexy, and rich Waymond, who also, if Evelyn didn't leave with him, he didn't leave with Evelyn, so he had a completely different life track where he ended up becoming a CEO and super rich. The two of them are talking, and I have it right here in front of me. He has a line of, "So even though you have broken my heart yet again, I wanted to say, in another life, I would have really liked just doing laundry and taxes with you." And it fucking got me. It got me. He did it in this viewing, and it's so powerful, and his importance to the story and his effect on Evelyn, I really saw in this and it's what makes the turn in Evelyn. She decides to stop fighting. She uses her powers that she's developed from Kung Fu Evelyn and the sushi and the teppanyaki chef Evelyn and all that
scene.
stuff.
Fucking, I like the fact that I'm pretty sure
Raccoonie. We haven't even talked about Raccoonie.
Raccoonie. The fact that Raccoonie actually was a thing. But when the dude Chad at first just had the hat on and was like chopping stuff out, like of course the guy who's really, really good would be called Chad. Of course he would. That the main character is like, damn it, Chad. But he fucking, yeah, the Raccoonie thing, hilarious. And the fact that she used it as a legit like flub off the top of her head, not knowing Ratatouille. She's like, yeah, the thing with the raccoon and Raccoonie. He did the thing, and it turns out there's another universe Heard that actually has to deal with Raccoonie.
Of course, everything.
What if that's why she kept getting what's her name's name wrong? Because one, it's like random syllables, and maybe the Alpha universe just stuck with Jobu Tubaki. And her, she's heard the name, or it's somewhere in her consciousness in other universes, so she's just like Jobu Tubaki, Jojo Chewbacca. Juju Chewbacca. That's what it was. Juju Chewbacca. But yeah, the movie, yeah, that was a lot of the movie. Let's see, anything else you want to talk about? Obviously, we got the climax and the big reconciliation scene and stuff at the end, or her fully coming to terms first with the whole, this is your granddaughter and this is her girlfriend. Then she like goes outside and Joy's like, please, for the love of God, we also just had this big fight where you just granted everyone's wishes on the way up to the stairs to, you know, stop me from killing myself. But please just fucking let me go. I'm tired of this. And no, I'm not going to let you go. Because at the end of the day, you don't really want to go. You've been looking for me. Despite all this stuff between the two of us, you came seeking me out to need help, and I'll always try to be there to help you, regardless of what you think. You are still my kid, my daughter, and I'm always going to do everything for you. In the fucking Rock universe, her, like the one rock tried to go off the cliff and she turns around with the fucking googly eyes. I'm a rock too. I'm coming to get you. No.
Right, amongst the other weird universes, so we've described Hot Dog Fingers, we've described Raccoonie. There's a universe where they're piñatas. There's a universe where life never started on Earth and they're just two rocks. There was a universe where they were just like doodles. They were sketches. Yeah, so there were some outlandish ones to show us that no, it is it's everything.
Yeah. I like the Rock universe as what they used it where it's just like, no, this is a quiet place. If ever you want quiet around you, just focus on you being a rock here.
Yeah. Yeah, they had literally like a 2-minute scene with dialogue, but no sounds. It was just text on screen and a filming of two different rocks sitting very still.
But yeah, but their whole making up at the end, that was cool. And very powerful, very emotional, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Gusto. Yeah, no, it. I mean, we covered a lot of things. Obviously, we don't want to be here all day, like every single thing, everything.
Right? No, yeah, it's one of those movies where it's a little hard to. I mean, there's so much going on in it.
Yes,
there's so much going on in it, and there's so much on the surface, and then there's a ton under the surface.
Also true.
Like, you know, the on top of everything we've talked about, like hot dogs for fingers, this is also a very deep philosophical movie.
Yes.
Tackling some really interesting, just like
What's her name? Pretty much
Of,
coming
like-
to appreciate her life as is, all of them, including the most mundane one where she is quote unquote the worst of the Evelyns.
right.
Like everything she did gave her her worst outlook possible, her worst outcome. Which, to be fair, if your worst outcome is married with a kid and you got a business, a laundromat, it's not too bad. Yeah. That's not too bad of a thing. You're like a lower middle class family. Okay. But nonetheless, she come to terms with everything. She fully realized her love for her husband. She fully realized her love for her daughter and accepted her daughter fully by the end, of like everything in it that her daughter is.
She also was finally able to stand up to her father
Yeah.
and confront her father about her issues. Like she wraps up a lot in that final scene.
Yeah, so it is a serious movie, but it has some wacky stuff, and I'm always gonna be drawn to remembering a lot of the wackiness. That's just me. But yeah, we could probably skip over roles we would play, considering.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll
I'll fill that
NBC.
time with two more Wayman quotes.
Go ahead.
These are near back to back, but not quite. There's a little bit of dialogue in between. But one is, "You think because I'm kind that it means I'm naive, and maybe I am. It's strategic and necessary. This is how I fight. The only thing I do know is that we have to be kind. Please be kind, especially when we don't know what's going on." Like, his character, I fell in love with his character in this watching. He is the sweetest, and he is every, like, I'm a sarcastic asshole too much sometimes, but he is everything I would hope to be
That's
in
fair.
a man. Waymond. I love him.
Yeah, and yeah, I wish I could be as kind as that as well. I'm not a terrible person or anything, but I am less of an angry person than I tell people I am, and that's because that's what everyone else tells me. That said, even I can tend to be way kinder in the sense that Wayman exists. So I do appreciate the character and everything he represents in this movie, because at the end of the day, there is no reconciliation between the mom and daughter without him and his way of living and his words. And a lot of the time in the movie, I think the only real Wayman having any idea what's going on whatsoever was Alpha Wayman. All the other Waymans are like, I don't know what's going on, but my wife is going through some shit, and I'm gonna help her the best way I can. And my daughter might be too. I don't fucking know, man. But they need me. I can't fight well, but I can do this at least. The one Wayman that does fight and choose to be violent, and stuff, and try to save the day is the one that dies. So what does that tell you? Wayman's not meant to be a fighter. He's meant to be a lover. So yeah, final thoughts on the movie. I thought it was cool, wackier than I expected as I've gone over, but I actually did really enjoy it. I was actually extra thankful for the wackiness to make sure that I enjoyed it, because at first I'm like, oh, this is going to be a long 2.5 hours of serious multiverse jumping. How does that work? But that wasn't the case. But yeah, you said you wanted to mention some things in the finals about like awards and like.
Oh yeah, well, just I wanted to just mention that, like, I have the Oscars tracker that I tend to follow here in front of me, and currently for Best Picture, this film is tracking in about 5th place, which is not surprising. I mean, it's anti-establishment as far as the Oscars go, and there are several big, like it's a Steven Spielberg year. Anytime it's a Steven Spielberg year, everybody else is kind of like has to watch out. But there's a bunch of good movies, and so that seems to be about right. Although it's my favorite movie of the year so far.
It's a lot of people that I know's favorite movie of the year. Like, I'm pretty sure it's also Jazz's. Like, I know he enjoyed it, so there's one opinion we can agree on. But I've heard a lot of good things about it. I've mentioned other friends on other things, but they've all liked it. The ones that I know who have seen it.
Michelle Yeoh is currently tracking in second place for Best Actress, right behind Cate Blanchett for Tar. And word is that Cate Blanchett's got that on lock. So that'll just have to be how that is. For supporting actress, in fourth place currently on the tracker is Jamie Lee Curtis for Everything Everywhere All at Once. And then currently in seventh place for supporting actor is the daughter Stephanie Sue. In supporting actor race, number one with a bullet, and by all reports, a gigantic margin, is Ke Huy Quan for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Looks like he is headed for his first Oscar, and it is well deserved.
Yeah, he did a damn good job.
For my final thoughts on this movie, as I said early on, it is everything everything that I can love in a film. I've said here before that the film Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is my favorite film. And although these movies are not the same, although they're not really alike at all, they live in similar.
That's a fair.
They live in a similar vibe.
That's
that's not really true, because Everything Everywhere, or because Eternal Sunshine is
assessment than you're thinking, than you're giving it credit for. It's a more fair. Yeah, it makes sense because of the only difference is Eternal Sunshine, rather than being multiverses, and that helps lead to the confusion on your first watch or whatever. It's memories and that jump around, and it's told out of order. It's told asynchronously.
Right.
But it's still the different, like, jumping, and you're trying to put the piece together, everything.
Yeah,
and
very much.
You get a similar vibe. So I'll take that.
But yeah, it very obviously has a lot of genre elements, which I love. I tend to love genre over your standard comedy or drama. It also has a lot of great humor in it. It's got a lot of emotion and drama in it. It has a ton of heart from Wayman's character and Evelyn's character, and the obvious love between Joy and Evelyn, and all of that, and frankly, not to be a sap, but a message and a positive influence and a greater outlook on the possibilities of us and life. I love this movie with a capital LOVE.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
So, and thank you for indulging me this week and watching it with me.
Yeah, no problem at all. Part of me, as we mentioned in Eternal Sunshine, I'm like, I have not seen that movie in over a decade. I need to see that movie again. Part of me wishes I hadn't seen it so you could suggest it to me, or vice versa.
We've talked about the hypothetical of that, and I don't know what I like. This was already hard for me. This was one of the hardest ones we've done, just because it's hard to, it's hard to put into words why you just unabashedly adore something. like
True.
like it just
True.
it turns on, and it's just, and I soak in, and I become part of it.
I agree. All right, so next week, what we're watching, it's award season, and apparently it might, I know it won some smaller awards, but apparently it's in your tracker for like a middleweight or something, it's heavy in best foreign film, and some people said it might be considered as a candidate for best film at one point, but I think they went with foreign film. It is the movie RRR. That is
RRR.
right. Yeah, RRR.
We're heading to Bollywood here on This Guy Hasn't Seen.
Diversity. We got anime, we got Bollywood, we got horror TV shows, we got Christmas specials, we got it all. We got chick flicks.
We got whatever we
Want to watch this week. There's like 5 W's. There we go. Whatever we want to watch this week. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to see more of us on this channel, obviously we got a whole playlist that This Guy Hasn't Seen. Check it out. You can also find me elsewhere on YouTube, on the channel, whatever we want, with the podcast that I do with the guy I mentioned earlier, Super Jazz. And he and I, we do that every week, every Wednesday, or at least every week. I know, whatever. Bottom line is, we also got Twitter, and I am on Twitter and Twitch at Giotavi. That is Giotavi.
Come on in. Stop on by.
That's right. Thank you very much. With a little extra sauce on it out there for the ladies. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead. Bill, you got
that was my Val Venus for all you WWF heads.
There you go. A little extra sauce on it for the ladies. Hello, ladies. Anyway, Bill, you got anything you want to say to the people out there? Any shout outs or anything? All right. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next week. Adios, this.